Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. So in today's video I want to prep a project that I'm taking on holidays, and what I want to do while I'm still here at home in my craft room is get the image ready, so then I can just pack everything I need to embroider, slow stitch, embellish, etc, etc. So the plan is for this video is just to get my image onto my fabric. You'll know what I mean when I show you what I'm sort of working with. I'm not sure how I'm going to really do it yet because the image is really old. It's my peacock. So first of all, it's going to go in my Roxy Journal of Stitchery volume 1. Now this is actually a second book from the original I did through the series, because some of the prompts the girls gave us I did 2 of. It's like bird, there was a hummingbird and an owl I did. So I ended up creating the 2 books because the spine was just going to be so thick to hold all these pieces of embroidery. So I needed 2 books. In addition, it's given me some extra spaces that when I have a bit of an idea, I can have a go at creating it. For example, I did a bit of a study of different types of mushrooms. There were heaps of different YouTube videos out there on how to create a mushroom out of fabric. So I used this space just to try a few of the different techniques and create a bit of a mushroom field. So my plan is, this is a flip on the inside of the cover. That gave me that landscape size of space to create an image. I have space on the front here still for an image. So I have a piece of muslin or calico ready to go. Excuse me. So what I'm thinking is, because my peacock is a decent size, I'm going to go, see, I can do another one here, another one here, and another one here. Now this is the piece that flips out on the back cover. So I've already come through the book and pinched out the piece of calico that will fit. So that's my base, if you will, and it's going to go on the inside of the back cover. All right, so let's pop that away and let's have a look at my little bird. Now, what I have are these very old transfers that I found in my mum's sewing basket. So at some point, either mum and I were playing with it, or they're even older, and mum was playing with them when we were ironing on transfers to fabric in the way of, I remember doing a denim skirt and there were flowers around the bottom of it, and I remember stitching them as a little girl, and it was a lot of these little daisy stitches. So Peacock has come back into my world, and I'm thinking he would be great to have a little play with. So the system with these, and luckily I have some little flowers and that I can do some tests on, is you would apply a hot iron and they would transfer onto the fabric. So what I want to do is, let's do a little test. Now these potentially could be 40 years old, so they may no longer activate, which I suspect. So let's give it a go. I've got a very hot iron. I'm just going to pop that on there and see if that blue ink comes alive for me. I have a feeling it won't. It's so old. If that's the case, there are a few options on how to get my image onto my piece of cloth using different mediums. Probably my favourite, and the one that I'll do, is I'll resketch it. There's all sorts of products that you can trace and add iron on, and freezer paste, all sorts of stuff, but it's all fiddly, and I'm thinking I'll just sketch it. The only part that makes me really nervous is getting the shape of his head right. The rest, I'd be pretty confident I can do. As long as I'm happy with his head, because the head will make it look like, nothing. All right, let's try another flower, I'm thinking. I had a feeling this might be the case because they're so old. Now, I had a couple of you suggest to me photocopying the image before I get too carried away with ironing and things like that in case it completely disappeared. So I did do that, and that was the result. I can see him in there, but the photocopier picked it up really dark. I'm sure I could work with the contrast and things like that, but that's not going to benefit me in any way. So I think it's not going to transfer. Anyway, the ironing hasn't affected that. If anything, it's flattened the paper nicely. So let's see if this works. No, it is done. So there you go. If you ever see old transfers and you're considering buying them, don't bother. I wonder if a little bit of a spritz of water would activate it. But look, at the end of the day, I'm just unplugging my iron here. At the end of the day, I'm not going to bother because I don't want to disintegrate my beautiful picture. So now I feel I can put some tape in behind there and repair it a little. And I'll just pop it away in my glory box. So now that's my background, but I was thinking I wanted to stitch it onto a piece of quilt that I've got. I really like this circles here. This has been hand quilted. It's a morsel that I purchased. I have completed some work on one of these pieces in that book before, but not this side, this side. So I'm thinking I don't really want a red edge. I wonder, where's my quick unpick? Do I cut it off or do I just unpick it? I don't want to lose any length. So maybe I can be sneaky here and just unpick this little bit of red. Because my whole colour scheme is going to be neutral, champagne. So, and my piece technically isn't big enough, but I'm pretty sure I can pad it out with some additional fabrics. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, that's going to work. So I'm just going to go ahead and break that thread and see if I can. That's just hand stitch, so yeah, it's going to come out. No problems. Well, that's good. I've just probably saved 1/4 of an inch on my piece of vintage I know when I ordered these pieces online, I'm not sure where I got them, as at least 18 months ago. I got 2 pieces in the pack plus some other random bits and pieces, and I just thought, oh, reds and blues, they're very pretty. I could do something with that. And then when they arrived, I was like, not a lover of that. So I sort of had a bit of buyer's remorse. You know, when you buy something, you know, what the hang, what was I thinking? Yeah, I had a bit of that. Then I turned it over and saw the back, and I was like, oh my goodness, look at that. I can see all the work from whoever made this huge quilt. I can see all their beautiful hand stitching. So, long story short, I was absolutely stoked with it. And of course, one piece I've already worked into my book. it's found a home. I hope that sanding noise is not annoying you. We've got some people here painting the front door and the hallway. For those of you who've been watching my channel for some time, you'll know that I had a break in. Some little rotters kicked the front door in, just November last year, I think it was. And finally, the front door got replaced. And today, the painters are back to stain that door. And as they ran through the hallway with boxes of our bits and pieces, they gouged a couple of the gyprock walls, only in a few spots, but it's a hallway, so you can imagine you can't just paint out one spot. You've got to paint the length of that particular wall. And our house is a very long rectangular house, and the hallway runs pretty much the length of it. So unfortunately, they've got to paint quite a lot of space. So the door has been fitted. The door is back in working order, as it had a couple big pieces of timber across it to secure it, because as they kicked it in, they cracked all the timber around the door frame. Absolutely made a hang of a mess. Just cracked everything, and it's a big timber door. They just, even the workmen were like, wow, were these guys big fellas? And I'm like, no, they were little guys. Young fellas with a good run up and a kick at the right spot, and the door just popped open. So today's the day to get it all finished. That is just breaking away, that little bit of red. So the plan is to pack a little bag of goodies to go with me, and I will work on my peacock. I love when you take fabrics off of things and you see what the original colour. Can you see that red there? That's the faded version, and that's what it was. This quilt, gosh, imagine the stories it could tell. Here comes the blue. Look at that blue versus that blue. Gosh, I wonder where they find these things. So that should get rid of all right. Now, do I put the top up here, or do I put that down here? I think it'll go down here. I'm going to work with the full piece at the moment. Whether I cut it down or leave it, I don't know yet. That's a decision for another day, I think. Okay. So let's have a look at the peacock. Now, he's going to be a little bit off center, I think. Yeah, I think that's where he will be. Now, like I said, my biggest challenge for me is to make sure that that head is right. So let's get the head sketched in. It's quite a flowing. I bet you can hear that sanding. I can hear it. I asked hubby to put some music on just softly in the background to help disperse that sanding sound. But I don't think he's done that. If he has, it's so quiet I can't hear it. Got to be a little bit careful with YouTube too, that I probably should have left my iron on. I'm just going to plug it back in. because I'm going to need it to get some lines gone as I muck around with this bird. I could cut it out. What if, can I see him through there? I don't have any tracing paper here, I don't think. What if I trace him, cut him out? Have I got anything in my bin? Yes, I do. I've got some tracing paper. All right, let's start this again. This is the bit that worries me. So, just thinking. All right, let's get rid of this mat. I need a firm surface to trace on. And I don't want the shiny side. Probably should have a pencil. Let's see how we go now. I don't know if that pen's not going to write. This is really well prepared, isn't it? Pencil, there we go. Okay. I can just get that nice sweeping. That's it. Yep. And then there's this curve here for that wing. You can always come back and pinch elements. I think this is the way we're going to go. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is cut that shape out. And bit by bit, we're going to build him up. So I'm just going to go on the inside of that line with my scissors so that when I trace it, I will be roughly where I need to be. There's probably better ways of doing this out there. But this is fun. I like to try and build it from basic supplies. You know, sometimes you just can't get hold of all of these fandangled tracing products. You've got to just use what you got. And this is just baking paper. Okay, so there's our head. Let's have another look at this. So if he's going to sit roughly there, I need the head to be roughly there. Okay. It's such a delicate shape. Oh, yeah. Now we're cooking. I just want to capture that designer's there we go. Now let's get rid of this bit here. And get that chest still a little bit bigger than what I want him to be, but when I stitch it, I'll be able to narrow up the shape a little. There we go. And I'll bring that down there. All right. I'm to do next is I'm going to cut out that wing. Such a nice curve. And put the wing in. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit so you can sort of see him take shape. So there we go. Now let's have a little look at him again. What other elements should we... I think I might draw his wing. And get a couple of these feathers in place. Then I can draw his feet. So that feather sort of comes in there. So let's cut this out now. Oh, this is good. You know, when you sketch things again from what you're seeing, it's always different. You can't do it. You can't do it exactly. And being that it's an animal and he's quite fine, like as in there's a slim look to him, I wanted to make sure I capture that. So this is a good cheats way of building him up. And you really only need a few key pieces. And at the end of the day, I'm probably overdoing it because there might be some lace go on him that, you know, this detail is not needed. But I'd rather have him there in his entirety. See, to me that wing feels a little bit big. So I'm just going to knock that out with the iron. And I'm just going to try it again. I was going to film this on holidays, but I won't have access to an iron. And I thought, well, if everything's going to go pear-shaped and this image is not going to transfer, it's best I find out now where I've got a few more bits and pieces that I can use. So that's roughly the shape of his wing. Let's have a little sketch on the inside now. So there's a bit of a image there, not image, a line there. There's a line there and there. And then this wing comes down, this feather. There's a few different feathers there. Bit of creative license happening now. That's all right. I've got the general shape and elements of it. I'm happy with that. Very fancy. Now his legs, let's have a look at those legs. Let me clear the desk here a bit. I think I need to sharpen my little pencil. And we'll try and capture the legs. I mustn't forget to take the image with me because I might need to refer to it. So we've got these sweepy little legs happening. Even just drawing it like this helps your brain get the feel for where the legs would go. Actually, I need a reference point other than just little legs like that. We need these wings here. And I might do that there. So that just anchors the image. Okay, so his little legs are literally there and there. So they come down like that. Okay, so it gives me some feet. Very good. Now, what else can we do to help? I might just free sketch from here because I don't think, sorry for the clinking, guys, of my bracelet. So we've got, from behind that wing is the first of the little lines. He's got these little lines on his back as that comes down and starts the flicking of this tail. So the feathers, I'll just draw a couple in. So it's like a backwards lazy daisy, and then strokes coming off, strokes coming off. Gosh, having a transfer would have been so much simpler, wouldn't it? So we've got this little backwards lazy daisy. But once I get a feel for what the designer was doing, shouldn't be too bad. It's like this downward sweeping motion happening. And the designer has just slid in a few feathers. They haven't gone completely once I sort of get a feel for it, I'll be away. And then where there's no feathers, there's just these drapey fill-in fibres. Okay, and through here, bit of creative license once again. I've got the general gist of it now. And I guess then I'll be able to work in how I'm going to do beads and knots and, you know, work the piece Okay, so let's get some of these feathers up here in position. Like I said, I was more worried about his neck and his head than anything else. There'll be a bit of creative license with feathers and things like that. Once you work out the strokes and how the designer was thinking. Oh, backwards, lazy daisy. The feathers have to come back on itself. Then there's this fan-like effect. And then there'll be little strokes of things in between just to soften it, because my design isn't as tight as theirs. I'm going to have feathers where they don't have feathers, but that's okay. Okay, there's probably only one more. There's a real shape to that top of the peacock feather, so I'll have to master that design. There's a real oval shape. Then there's all this fluffy, soft flowing feathers coming in. So we might do I think he's starting to come together. Okay, that's probably one of the last actual feathers. The rest is just building on that glorious tail. I think we could do probably another one through here. Like I said, I'm heading off on my own tangent now. I think I've got a bit of a feel for how this will and I think probably one more there. It's about all I would probably get in. I'll have to master this end feather. And then there's lots and lots of little strokes of feathers to create that movement as he, there we go. He's a bit of a fancy boy, isn't he? Now the question is, of course, there's lots of little strokes through his body. Whether I do those or not, I don't know. We'll see. There's some little V's they've put on his body here around that neck, little V stitches. Couple little His eye's a real curved eye, and his beak's got a bit of a curve about it. And then there's some pistol stitch. Coming off the top of his head. Okay, now I do like this railing. Just adds that little bit of interest to the piece. So I might just get some lines in. My tail goes higher than, my tail's gone too high. My phone's buzzing away there. Let's get him back into position. Yeah, my tail's gone very extravagant. I don't need that top row. So I'm going to just knock that out and that out and get his tail. Yeah, that's better. Got a bit carried away with the feathers. So now I should be able to get this rail through here. Let's just draw a straight line. It's only narrow. And then these 3 columns, if we turn that, I don't know if that'll work. No, not really. Come on, girl, we can just sketch this. How hard can it be? So they've got like a bit of a curve about them. Never looks as good as the original picture, does it? So they're not even an even curve on the picture. They're like all wonky. I've got to recreate wonky. Gonna end up doing straight rails yet. Stop overthinking this and just, it's not fat enough. That's better. There's a long neck-like feel about it. Can you believe the railings are giving me more grief than the bird did? Gosh. There's like a plumpness to them one side and a straighter line the other. Might be something to do with perspective, looking across, but anyway. We have a rail. All our files covered in floral plants. There we go. We have a rail. I think we need a bit of a ground coming through here just to anchor him, but that's purely just me feeling like it looks like a bird by doing that. There'll be something there. Now, we've got an opportunity to do a vine of some sort. But it won't be that vine. I think I will have a good look through some of my embroidery books for some inspiration and do something a little bit more modern, if you will. Like modern as in foolproof flowers. So I think I'll find a vine in there that makes me feel that ground is all crooked. I'm just going to anchor him to the ground. There, that feels a bit better. It's getting the lines of, you know, there's your ground, so to speak. Okay, so then to make those look a little, they've put little lines on them to make that feel like it's a cylindrical element. Okay, so what have I forgotten? I'm really happy with his head. I've got that curve right. So there's little stitches they do up through there. Not that I need to really draw all this because I'll take the picture with me and that'll give me the prompts I need. Okay, hello Percy. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Let me turn this iron off before I burn myself and get that out of my way. Okay, so let's bring Percy back up onto my get my working space sorted again. So there's my big background. And there's Percy. He's going to be floating on this piece. Now, I guess the next thing I need to decide is the background fabrics. So that was just a spare piece of calico. We don't need that. What do we want to see here? Let me bring the camera back up a little bit. I need to have a think about what we see coming out from it. Do we want to see this? That's the wrong colour. Do we want to see this calico? So I need to go hunting and see what fabrics I've got. I don't think I can put my hands on anything just yet, and I don't think it's too big of an important decision, but let's imagine that this is a better colour than what it is. I want to most likely tuck pieces in underneath it. I'm thinking just little morsels of textures, I think. I don't know. But for now, I'm pretty confident I can work on Percy. The other thing I'll need to do is have a look through my laces and see if there's something that can be done here. That's my next decision. But we've got Percy at least with me. I'm glad I took those feathers out. There was a real line there. It was getting too plumy. It's a bit straighter across the top of his tail. There is definitely the odd wispy feather up here, but not a lot. Not a lot at all. Okay, lovely. All right, I'm happy with that. Really, really happy with that. So the next video you will see will be something to do with the project. I'm not sure what I'll work on first or what I will use. I'm going to start gathering some bits and pieces that can go with me into my suitcase. Percy is in. I will do some invisible stitches around, so this becomes connected to that, but I will leave this gap so that I can tuck in anything that I want to embellish. Like it could even be morsels of lace, just to build up a frame around him of interest, so he's floating on this beautiful piece of quilt. But anyway, that's a good start. I'm now ready to pack my little travel bag. I'm taking a, you know, the size that you would take as carry-on luggage. I'm going to carry one of those with me, just with everything in it. I'll be able to put my mat in, and a lovely assortment of fabrics and cottons and beads and things. I sort of don't want to limit myself. So I need to take a good supply, a bit of everything. So that's the plan. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for watching me pull Percy together from this very old image. I could even take his feathers off here a little bit, couldn't I? Anyway, just a thought, like a couple of those feathers could just drift a little bit onto the background. That'd be a bit of fun. Anyway, sidetracked. Stay focused. I'm going to say goodbye now, and next time I see you will be the next stage of the development of Percy the, I nearly said penguin, nearly said pelican, peacock. Goodness me. All right, guys, look after yourselves. Have a lovely day and enjoy your stitching. Bye.